This weekend, JTMP covered Bill McKibben's and 350.org's efforts to present a solar panel once installed in the White House to President Obama, and to ask him to put solar power back on the White House. After a spirited rally at All Souls Church featuring speakers, they invited supporters to sign the solar panel.
My name is Bern Kelly. I'm a landscape architect, environmental planner. I've been doing environmentalism since Lady Bird Johnson turned me into a Beautify America Boy Scout. And grew up and lived in Washington, D.C. long enough, so you kind of get connected. Between college in Massachusetts and grad school in Massachusetts, I came back here, and I got to work an internship with the Park Service. I actually did a design for the White House pool, but that's not how I got connected to the White House panels. I got connected to the White House panels because Jimmy Carter had a weatherization program, and the Anacostia Energy Alliance had Solar Works as a for-profit side. The guy who ran that name was Craig Nyman. Craig Nyman's parents, I believe, were friends with Ralph Renzler, who ran the folk festivals in Washington, D.C. for the Smithsonian Institution. Well, Ralph and Jimmy Carter happened to be friends. So Ralph suggested, it's the story I know, that Jimmy Carter should get these solar panels put up by his friend's son on the White House. Well, I just happened to be working for the guy. So I was working for Craig Nyman, and Dan Sweeney was the other principal, and I was the sole laborer, you know. A gantry went out over the side, and we hoisted them up. And we had to build the frame and all. So 32 of them. I mean, it was a lot of work. It took almost a week, but it took about 2 days to do the pipe sweating. And honestly, what they said about how hot they get, we were a little nervous that we were going to cause a leak in the White House. We didn't want this to backfire, you know. We were like, oh my goodness.
So you feel a kind of connection to the panel when you saw it today?
When I saw that,
you had an emotional reaction?
Joy. I mean, just joy. Yeah. Because I had heard they had gone to Marlborough College, or they were somewhere in Vermont, and I heard different things like, well, where'd all those good panels go? You know, where'd our babies go? Yeah. And I was proud that I was a part of that.
Then they strapped the solar panel back onto the biodiesel van and drove off into the night, hopeful of the next day's events. However, the next day brought disappointment as the Obama administration did not accept the solar panel, but did meet with them in the war room of the executive office building adjacent to the White House. They were told that the Obama administration is making all federal buildings more energy efficient, but stopped short on a solid commitment to installing this or any solar panels on the roof of the White House. However, Bill and the gang are not giving up the fight and vowed to continue to call for solar panels on the White House, and turn to their 10-10-10 event, where people around the world will install solar panels and other projects to help prevent global climate change. If you want to take part in these events, please go to 350.org.
I'm Craig with Justice Through Music, and we're hanging out with
Jean Altmer with 350.org.
Okay, can you explain to our supporters what the significance of the number 350 is?
350 is the maximum number parts per million carbon molecules, or CO2 molecules, in the atmosphere that allows for the planet on which life on Earth developed to continue. Any higher than 350 leads to drastic consequences. The barest beginnings of which we're actually seeing this summer, with 129 degrees in Pakistan, all-time Asia record. We just had the hottest summer, hottest year, and hottest decade ever recorded in history. This is a temperature rise of 1 degree. If we exceed 350 parts per million for any length of time, we're going to see a rise of 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees. We're not going to survive 5 degrees. People will not be able to live 5 degrees. We don't know if we'll be able to survive 4 degrees. We need to stop it at 350. Great news is we're at 392. That's wonderful. So we have to move it back as fast as possible. We need incredibly drastic, rapid climate action. On 10-10-10, there's going to be community projects throughout the world. Some, like, more than 1,800 projects in different communities throughout the world. It's going to be the largest day of international action ever in the history of humans. We handed them a petition today with 42,000 or 41,000? 42,790 some signatures on it from people throughout the U.S. that signed the petition on 350.org, saying that we need you to put solar on the White House. We need you to take the first step in convincing the world this is what we need to do, and showing the world that America is once again going to be active in defining the future. And so we handed them those signatures on a little Excel sheet with a large sheet saying, you know, this is how many signatures. They got the zip drive. We handed it over. That was it.
So what are your hopes after talking to them? Does it raise your hopes a little bit, you know?
After talking to them, it brought us to a screeching halt of happiness. We were all highly emotional. We did talk, you know, Bill's convinced in the next, you know, if it's not this year, within the next few years, they will. He's 100% certain there will be solar panels somewhere on the White House grounds. He's convinced of that fact. He's also saying they will never acknowledge it was because of this. That really doesn't matter. You know, we didn't do this for the acknowledgement. We did it for the solar panels to be again on the White House. Justice
Through Music, and we're sitting here with Jamie and Amanda.
Hello.
From, are both of you from Unity College?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Seniors.
Yeah, Unity College up in Maine, of course, which is a great college trying to push green technology and renewable energy, I understand, right?
Yes. For me, being at Unity and seeing them on the cafeteria never meant anything. Like, I saw them and I'd be just, oh, solar panels at the cafeteria, that's cool. But I'd have to say my opinion for solar panels, or at least the ones that we have, mean a lot more, because going into Boston and New York and like seeing the amount of people that came to our outings and our conferences and the 500 signatures that we have on the panel and just the excitement that it raised means a lot more. You know, the message that it captured all throughout the press and, you know, on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter, like following these people, following a solar panel, because it's just more than a panel that converts energy, you know. It's a symbolism. It's a symbol that symbolizes that, you know, we need to move forward in this green movement. So, like, it means a lot more to me now.
You met with some of the Obama administration staff with the Office of Environmental.
We met with we met in the War Office, and we met with the sustainability directors, I guess you could say, of the Obama administration, and
also one of the members of the Office of Public Engagement.
Yes.
As well.
Oh, okay.
And interesting meeting.
Okay. Did you all do most of the talking, and
nope,
or?
They did most of the talking. They explained about what they're doing in the White House and federal buildings to be more sustainable. They explained that each office has a sustainability plan to make changes, and that's great. We're not discrediting that. That's a great effort. But like we've said, we live in Maine. We haven't heard about any of these efforts, and we're studying this, and we're in school, and we're involved. And the normal, off the street, average Joe isn't gonna know that the White House is doing this. And they asked us. They said, "What do you think the best ways to communicate this effort are?" And Amanda tapped right there. There you go. There's our petition. 43,000 people want to see solar panels back on the White House. That's the best way to communicate it. Because people see that White House, people are walking up and down the streets, tourists are passing us, and if there was solar panels on that White House, people would really see that Obama is dedicated to this mission.
Yeah.
The point of this solar panel is it's a symbol. It was on the White House 31 years ago with the message to create energy, and that it would still be creating, and we just want, it does. Like, we've tested it out at least 5 times on this trip and have got hot water that you don't even want to touch. And so it wasn't to...
Yeah.
It wasn't even to put that particular one back on the White House, but it was just to, we'll take this solar panel. And you know what that symbolizes? That, we're ready to make that commitment. And, it might take us a while to go through all the bylaws and guidelines to put them on the roof, but you know what? We'll make that commitment. We'll put them on the roof.
And even to recognize the importance of the panels. It's a piece of history. It was on the White House. It came off the White House. It belongs with the White House. If we had brought a piece of furniture from Lincoln's bedroom back, they would have welcomed us with open arms and said, thank you for bringing this part of our history back to us. But this is just a Jimmy Carter solar panel that nobody cares about.
Yeah, so what do you think is going to be the fate of the panel you brought down now? Obviously they didn't take it and put it on the roof today, right?
No, they didn't take it. And...
I think Bill has some spots lined up for the panel.
Some places. I don't know if it's going to be at Smithsonian Museum or if it's going to be, there's apparently a local school around here that has panels on the roofs, and would just love to have this as, I guess, a symbol as well, to keep it there and have the signatures left on there with the 350 to symbolize, maybe one day, if we keep it here in DC, they'll be like, oh, where did they put that panel?
We want that.
We want it back, when they realize that they should have listened 31 years ago.
So what should young people do to help you out with the cause? Is there your website they can go to help out?
350.org.
Okay.
We've got the Global Work Party on 10-10-10. Definitely get involved with that. And also keep in mind that we can put solar panels and we can build community gardens and we can, paint bike lanes. But that's only a small piece of the portion. We really need climate legislation, so you really need to push that. You need to call your senators, you need to call your congressmen, get involved with state and local government, and that's going to be the way that we're going to make the real change.